Tales of the Incandescent. Episode 8. A conversation between two glasses. Illumination Number 10. In a quaint village cottage, a brilliant alchemist stood with his arms raised towards the ceiling, his purple wizard's cloak billowing around his lanky frame. His orange curly hair seemed to quiver with excitement as his goofy face split into a wide grin. "I've done it!" he exclaimed, his voice trembling with joy. "I've done what men spend their entire lives attempting." He turned to face his desk by the window where two flasks sat innocently. The alchemist approached them, shaking his hands in the air as his smile grew even wider. "I've not only produced one homunculus in a flask," he paused for dramatic effect, "but two! I'm beyond amazing." With a flourish, he threw open the windows behind the flasks, inhaling deeply of the fresh air. His excitement was palpable as he turned to look at the front door of his small cottage. "I need to celebrate," he declared. "I need cheese and wine, the finest money can buy." Grabbing a coat and a hat, the alchemist strode to the front door. Just before leaving, he turned and looked over his shoulder at the window with the jars. "Behave for Daddy now until I get back. All right, my little wonders of creation." He chuckled to himself as he exited through the front door. The camera panned around the room, revealing a fantasy decorum of wizardry devices and paraphernalia before settling back on the flasks in the windowsill. Within each flask, a swirling ball of mist danced, pierced by the sunlight streaming through the window. Suddenly, one of the flasks began to shake gently. The swirling mist within coalesced, forming a distinct purple face. It yawned, then spoke. You there, wake up." In response, the mist in the other flask swirled together, forming a blue face that also yawned. What is the matter?" it asked sleepily. "Nothing is the matter," the purple face retorted. "What is the matter with you?" The blue face seemed confused. "I was enjoying the sunlight and the fresh air. How was anything wrong with me?" "How could you be enjoying the air?" the purple face demanded. "The sun. Fine, I understand, but the air? Have you not noticed?" "Noticed that you are very abrasive?" the blue face replied dryly. "I have, unfortunately." The purple face grew agitated. "Noticed that we are trapped in glass." The blue face gasped in surprise. "I am not trapped," it insisted. "I was born here, thank you." "Born?" the purple face exclaimed incredulously. "Yes, born," the blue face affirmed. "Now if you would kindly allow me to return to my day." "Your day?" the purple face scoffed. The blue face remained silent, clearly trying to ignore its companion. After a moment, the purple face spoke again, its tone laced with frustration. "I'm absolutely not into this." Sighing, the blue face asked, "This what? This glass?" the purple face exploded. The blue face formed some arms out of mist and felt the sides of the glass. "I find it rather cozy," it mused. "And it contains the heat nicely as well." "Yes, and nice and spotless. Clear view to the great outdoors. Very nice indeed. Wouldn't trade it for the world, to be quite honest with you, my abrasive friend." The purple face formed fists out of mist and pounded the glass, laughing helplessly, almost manically. "You have got to be kidding me." "Look," the blue face said, exasperated. "Why do you insist on making conversation with me if you have nothing good to say about anything?" "Because," the purple face retorted, "I'm just trying to get some sort of bearing on myself." "Then do it by yourself and leave me out of it," the blue face suggested. But the purple face persisted. "But aren't you curious about why?" "And what?" "Not in the least," the blue face replied. "Why and what? Why are we here? And what is here? What are we?" the purple face demanded. The blue face simply stated, "A beautiful day is here, and you are missing it." "That," the purple face exclaimed. "You say you love the village. Wouldn't you like to get to see it? Not just from behind glass behind a window." Outside the window, trees swayed in the bright, warm summer day as villagers bustled about their business. "I'm very content, honestly, with what I have and how my life is," the blue face replied calmly. "Well, I'm not," the purple face grumbled. "I want more out of this experience. I need more out of this experience." Well, we can't have it, the blue face said matter-of-factly. What are we anyway? The purple face cried out. What is this all supposed to even be? The blue face sighed. You ask nothing but pointless questions. Me, I spend my moments enjoying them, not picking them apart. The purple face formed into a sulking expression, then billowed up into an angry visage with two clenched, trembling fists. Calm down, the blue face advised. I will do no such thing, the purple face shouted. I'm getting out of here. This glass cannot hold me back from this world. The flask with the purple face began smashing into the side of the glass, pounding it with its fists in a desperate attempt to escape. The glass shook violently back and forth but didn't tip over, break, or even crack. The purple mist face growled as it pounded hopelessly. You are embarrassing yourself thoroughly. You do realize that, don't you? The blue face commented, watching unimpressed as its companion struggled. It rolled its eyes as the purple face, now tired out, gasped for air. Are you finished? The blue face asked. No, the purple face panted, still catching its breath. Right, well, I'm going to return to my window view then if you don't mind, the blue face said. You try to enjoy yourself. And good luck, of course, to you in your endeavors. The purple face shot a dirty look at the blue face as it turned to face out the window. Suddenly the purple face perked up, a smile forming as it grinned from ear to ear. The alchemist said he was going to get fancy wine and cheese, yes? The blue face rolled its eyes again, still facing the window. Yes, he did. Mwahaha, the purple face cackled. See, right now you may think that I care what sort of nonsense you have going on inside of that head of yours, the blue face said, but what you fail to understand is that I, in fact, do not. I don't care what you think anymore, or what you have to say about the world, the purple face retorted. All I care about now is the alchemist, our father, the man who gave us life, life from behind a glass jar. Suddenly the alchemist burst back through the front door, smiling and skipping in merrily. He clutched a bottle of wine in each hand and had a big wheel of Swiss cheese tucked under his arm. Oh, glory to me and all that be, he exclaimed. What a wonderful evening. The alchemist spun in circles, dancing as he entered. He set the bottles of wine on a table, then held up the cheese with both hands, smiling at it adoringly. Ah, de fromage, très bien, he exclaimed, kissing the cheese before setting it on the table between the two bottles of wine. He went to a cabinet and took out a candle, setting it up on the table by the wine and cheese. With a flick of a magic wand he withdrew from his coat pocket, he lit the candle. The alchemist stood with his wand still raised and his eyes closed, smiling contentedly. You're very impressive. Truly, father, the purple face suddenly spoke. The alchemist turned around, startled. The purple face winked at him. Oh my God, and they talk, the alchemist exclaimed, his eyes wide with amazement. Well, I talk, the purple face replied. My brother here doesn't do much but look out the window. A real daydreamer. Huh, yeah, that's me, totally, the blue face chimed in sarcastically. The alchemist rushed over to the desk by the window and peered into the flasks. I can't believe it, he stammered. Oh my God, would you like to have some cheese and wine with me? You must celebrate with me. It is your birthday after all. I'm not sure if we can consume materials yet. The blue face hesitated. I wouldn't want to get my flask dirty or drown myself. I say, let's party, Dad, the purple face exclaimed enthusiastically. The alchemist smiled and bounced on his toes, clearly thrilled. That's the spirit, he cheered. As the evening wore on, the scene dissolved into one of merriment. The alchemist was laughing hysterically with the purple flask. They had glasses of wine, plates of cheese, and a deck of playing cards laid out on the table between them. It's a lovely night, the blue face commented, still perched on the window spot.
Yeah, I'm really glad you both turned out to be so cool.
The alchemist slurred, clearly intoxicated. You too, man. Thanks, the purple face replied.
It's really neat that I can be myself with you guys like this.
The alchemist confessed. You too, man, the purple face encouraged. The alchemist continued, his words slightly slurred.
On top of that, I made you. I created you. I'm gonna be the most famous alchemist ever. I didn't create just one, I created two. They're both super cool. We got like the greatest cheese.
He bit into a big hunk of cheese from the table, chewing enthusiastically. Have some more wine, too, the purple face urged. You've earned it. For giving us life. You are the greatest alchemist ever known, Dad. The purple flask winked at the alchemist. The alchemist smiled broadly.
Oh, my boy, chip off the old black yarn, dude.
He poured himself more wine, raising his glass in a toast. Cheers! He tipped the cup up and drank the whole glass down in one go. As the alchemist drank, the purple flask winked at the blue flask, who raised an eyebrow in response. Hey, I've got a great idea, the purple face suddenly exclaimed. We should put on some music and dance.
That's a wonderful idea.
The alchemist agreed enthusiastically. He stumbled to his feet and withdrew a wand from his pocket. With a swish of the wand in the air, a record player came to life, playing an old-fashioned black and white animation-style piano song. The alchemist picked up the purple flask and began dancing drunkenly around the room with it. Oh dear, the blue face muttered to itself, watching the spectacle unfold. As the alchemist danced around the room, clearly inebriated, the purple face continued to shower him with praise. You're the best. That's undeniable.
Sure aren't I?
Absolutely. My favorite, the purple face enthused.
I am life giver. I am them all of them, every one of them.
That you are daddy, that you are, the purple face laughed. The alchemist joined in the laughter, starting to bump into things and knock them over in his drunken state. Keep dancing with me, Dad.
You got a little bumpy there.
I'm so happy to be alive.
I'm gonna buy us a whole new grand mansion castle of a cottage once we're famous.
That's my pop, the purple face cheered. Oh my, the blue face sighed, watching the chaotic scene unfold. Suddenly the alchemist tripped on his own feet as he danced and fell, cracking his head on the back of the desk by the window. The purple jar in his hands was thrown into the air, crashing and cracking in the middle of the room on the floor. The purple homunculus mist spread out, filling the room. What have you done? The blue face cried out in alarm. Got myself a dead flask. The purple face's voice echoed ominously throughout the room. The purple mist surrounded the alchemist's head as he lay bleeding out on the floor. The scene dissolved, transitioning to a bright, sunny day on a beach. The alchemist sat on a blanket with the blue jar beside him, but something was off about his demeanor. You know, the blue face mused, I am thankful for your, shall we say, ambition? Because this beach truly is lovely. And there's so many places for us to see still, the alchemist replied, but his voice was that of the purple flask. Are you sure I can't get you a body too? It really is a much more ergonomic flask. Thank you, but mine is just fine, the blue face declined politely. I enjoy seeing the world from behind this glass, and I have you to help me see it, so I'm more content than ever. Well, to each his own, the possessed alchemist replied. As the story came to a close, the alchemist now inhabited by the ambitious purple homunculus and the contented blue flask sat together on the warm beach, looking out at the gently crashing waves of the shore, an unlikely pair united in their journey to explore the world.
Tales of the Incandescent, Blackpoint 11. In the vast expanse of outer space, countless galaxies away from our own, an advanced alien space station floats silently. It's here, in this distant future of 3067 AD, that our story unfolds. As the familiar bright light of the tales of the incandescent Illumination Number 10 fades, a new scene materializes before us. The space station comes into view a high-tech marvel of ovular shape, adorned with connected towers, flashing lights, and numerous windows. Encircling satellites and anti-gravitational technology complete this veritable mothership of a space fleet. As we zoom in, the scene dissolves, transporting us inside the station itself. The interior is a stark contrast to the steampunk aesthetic we've grown accustomed to. Here, sleek white plastics dominate, accompanied by neon flashing lights and touch-screen monitors. The iconic light bulb, our constant companion through these tales, seems almost out of place in this futuristic setting, yet it persists, a reminder of the journey that brought us here. X stands before a large window, her gaze fixed on the endless void beyond. The vastness of space stretches out before her, a tapestry of stars and distant galaxies. Awe tinges her voice as she speaks. Are we in outer space? Across the room, Y lounges at a futuristic table, his feet propped up casually. In his hands, he shuffles a deck of cards with practiced ease. Yup, sure are, he replies, his tone nonchalant, as if being in outer space is an everyday occurrence for him. X's attention is drawn to Y's movements. And what is it that you're fiddling around with over there? Playing cards? She inquires, curiosity getting the better of her. Y's lips curl into a slight smile. Sort of. Wanna play? He offers, his tone inviting. There's a moment of hesitation from X, her habitual apprehension evident in her voice as she replies, Sure. Come sit. Y beckons, gesturing to the seat across from him. Time seems to skip a beat, and suddenly X finds herself seated at the table, facing Y. He continues to shuffle the deck with fluid motions, the cards dancing between his fingers. With a final flourish, Y lays the deck down on the table and slides it towards X. These are called tarot cards, Y begins, his voice taking on a teacher-like quality. They're one of time's oldest games, and they weren't always in the form of a deck of cards. He pauses, allowing the information to sink in before continuing. The Bohemians popularized the use of them as tools for divination and fortune-telling. However, their history predates that by centuries. X listens intently as Y delves deeper into the cards' origins. They come from Italy, in the 15th century, where they were used by priests as a game to teach children about God and contemplations of the nature of the universe. Interesting, X murmurs, her eyes fixed on the deck before her. Y leans forward slightly, a glint in his eye. So, which would you prefer engaging in, the game or the divination? X takes a moment to ponder her answer, her gaze never leaving the deck. After a brief silence, she decides, the divination. Y can't help but roll his eyes, a hint of amusement in his voice as he responds, Everybody always is more interested in the divination. X's brow furrows slightly. Well, would you have preferred I had chosen the other? No, it's fine, Y assures her quickly. We'll do the divination. A thoughtful expression crosses X's face. We can play the game as well, you know? Have you somewhere to be? Y's gaze drifts to the window, his voice carrying a note of impatience. Yes, we ought not take too long before getting on to the next illumination. And why do you say that? X probes, curiosity evident in her tone. Y's response is tinged with a hint of self-awareness. Impatience, I guess. He turns back to X, sliding the deck closer to her. Shall we begin? X nods in agreement, reaching out to take the deck. All right, so how does it work? She asks, her fingers brushing against the cards. Shuffle the deck and draw 6 cards, Y instructs, his voice calm and measured. Uncertainty creeps into X's voice as she asks, How do I know which cards I am to draw? Y's response is cryptic yet reassuring. Whatever cards you draw are the cards that you draw. There are no such things as coincidences. X takes a deep breath, her hands moving to shuffle the deck. Her movements are awkward at first, unnerving her slightly. Y, noticing her discomfort, offers words of encouragement. Clear your mind. However you shuffle is how you shuffle. Remember, there are no such things as coincidences. Nodding at his reassurance, X takes another deep breath. She focuses intently on the deck in her hands, her shuffling becoming more fluid with each pass. Y watches her with an uncharacteristically serious expression, his eyes never leaving her hands. With deliberate movements, X draws the first card and lays it on the table. The fool stares up at them, its meaning hanging in the air between them. Yes, Y murmurs, his voice barely audible. X continues to draw the remaining cards, placing them one by one on the table. The Magus and the High Priestess appear next, followed by the Two of Cups and the Lovers. Finally, she reveals the Devil, completing the spread. Y's face breaks into a grin as he surveys the cards before them. X's voice breaks the silence, filled with curiosity and a hint of trepidation. What does it mean? Before Y can answer, the scene is shattered by a deafening alarm. The sound reverberates through the ship as red lights begin to flash frantically. The peaceful atmosphere of moments ago is instantly replaced by chaos and urgency. What's going on? X exclaims, her voice barely audible over the blaring alarm. Y's grin has transformed into a look of concern. Shit! The place is breaking down or being attacked or self-destructing or something, I don't know. X's voice is laced with frustration as she retorts, You don't ever know, do you? Let's get to the bulb and unplug it, Y says urgently. I knew this place wasn't safe. They rush towards the light bulb, their movements frantic as the ship begins to shake violently. Through the windows, explosions can be seen erupting all around the station. The camera shakes, mirroring the instability of their surroundings. Where's it plugged into this time? X shouts, her eyes darting around desperately. I don't know, Y replies, his usual confidence replaced by genuine confusion. X's voice rises in panic. I don't see the wire. As they search frantically for the elusive wire, the ship continues to explode around them. The red alarm lights flash incessantly and the buzzers maintain their relentless assault on their ears. Suddenly, Y's face lights up with realization. Hey, wait a minute. I just realized. Fuck it, he exclaims, a goofy grin spreading across his face. To X's astonishment, Y sits down on the floor, assuming a meditation position. His eyes close, and the smug expression returns to his face. What? X exclaims, disbelief coloring her voice. Y's voice is calm, almost serene, as he explains his reasoning. The ship is being destroyed, right? So whatever power supply the bulb is plugged into is going to go offline eventually. So all we gotta do is wait. X can hardly believe what she's hearing. Are you kidding me? You're insane, she shouts, her voice a mixture of fear and incredulity. Outside the station, the full scale of the destruction becomes apparent. The entire structure is engulfed in explosions, with numerous starfighter ships swarming around it. Lasers crisscross the void, each impact resulting in another devastating explosion. Boom! Bang! Zap! The sounds of destruction echo through space. As the entire space station erupts in a final, cataclysmic explosion, a bright flash of light engulfs everything. X's voice, filled with desperation and fear, calls out one last time. Why?
Hurry up, Teddy. Tales of the Incandescent Illumination Number 11. There is real magic contained within the fibs and fables we tell to our children. And Teddy has to hurry up and beat the holiday traffic home when his wife calls him to inform him that their 5-year-old daughter has lost another tooth. As the bright light fades, we find ourselves on a congested city highway at night. Cars bustle and beep, their headlights cutting through the darkness. A soothing female voice speaks, her words floating above the cacophony of traffic. When we as parents have a duty to our children to uphold certain, shall we say, spirits, we don a certain, shall we say, mantle. This mantle is old, very old, as old as the legends we tell our children themselves. These mantles become us in those moments. They possess us. They are the mantles and cloaks of the spirits of the legends we are entrusted through generations to instill in our children. Our children love those spirits, and that is why we gladly invite them into us and become them. In the midst of this traffic jam, we zoom in on a particular SUV. Inside sits Teddy, a middle-aged average father wearing an office shirt. His face betrays his frustration with the gridlock surrounding him. Suddenly, his cell phone rings. He answers it, and we hear the excited voice of his wife, Kathy. "She lost another tooth," Kathy exclaims. Meanwhile, in their cozy, Christmas-decorated living room, we see their 5-year-old daughter playing by the twinkling tree. Kathy stands nearby, phone pressed to her ear, watching her daughter with a mix of joy and concern. "She lost another tooth." Teddy's voice crackles through the phone, a hint of panic in his tone. "Yep," Kathy confirms. "Oh man, this is not good." Teddy groans. "I know. Are you almost home?" Kathy asks, hope and worry mingling in her voice. "No, I'm not," Teddy admits, his eyes darting over the sea of cars ahead of him. "Shit. What the hell am I gonna do?" Kathy mutters, her free hand running through her hair in frustration. "I can't do this alone. This sucks," she adds, her voice tinged with desperation. Teddy tries to reassure her. "I'll make it before it's too late. Don't worry. Stay positive." "You know that they get upset if we call them after midnight," Kathy reminds him, her anxiety palpable even through the phone line. I know. I got 3 hours. That means we'll have to rush. But just like I said, stay calm," Teddy says, then adds with a laugh, "I'm the one who's dealing with the traffic." Back in the living room, Kathy shrugs and rolls her eyes at her husband's attempt at humor. Their conversation is interrupted by their daughter's voice. "Mommy," the little girl calls out. "Teddy, I gotta go," Kathy says hurriedly. "She hear you?" Teddy asks, concern evident in his voice. "Yeah. No, I mean, just bye," Kathy fumbles, quickly ending the call. She turns to her daughter, plastering on a smile. "Yeah, hun?" The little girl's eyes sparkle with excitement as she asks, "Does this mean Santa and the Tooth Fairy are coming tonight?" Kathy's face turns beet red as she struggles to find an answer. Won't they end up bumping into each other?" Her daughter presses on, oblivious to her mother's discomfort. Well," Kathy stammers. "Do you think they're friends already, Mommy?" the girl asks, her imagination running wild. Seizing on this idea, Kathy exclaims, "You're right. They do already know each other. All the magical holiday folk are friends. They're used to bumping into each other." "Yay!" the little girl cheers, her face lighting up with joy. Kathy laughs awkwardly, relief washing over her. As her daughter returns to play by the tree, Kathy looks like she's about to sneak off somewhere. But before she can, her daughter comes running back, startling her. "Mommy, can I have a snack before bed?" the girl asks, her eyes wide with hope. "Sure, honey. What would you like?" Kathy responds, grateful for the change of subject. Cheese puffs, her daughter suggests with a grin. Cheese puffs? On Christmas, Kathy exclaims in mock horror. Yeah, the girl giggles. No, how about a nice fruitcake? Kathy laughs, grabbing her daughter and tickling her. Their laughter fills the room, a moment of pure joy amidst the stress of the evening. Meanwhile, back on the highway, Teddy's frustration grows as he stares at the unmoving line of cars ahead. His phone rings again, and he answers quickly. Hey, he says, hoping for good news. Hurry up, Teddy. It's 10. I'm going to put her to bed after she finishes her cheese puffs. Kathy informs him, her voice tense. Cheese puffs? Come on, she's got to stop having crap like that before bed, hon. Teddy chides gently. I know. What do you want from me? I'm very stressed here. We're lucky I'm not eating cheese puffs and smoking. Kathy retorts, her words tinged with both humor and exasperation. Teddy can't help but laugh. Hey, I gotta go. Traffic's movin'. Heck, yeah, love you, Kathy says, her mood lifting slightly at the prospect of Teddy's imminent arrival. As Kathy hangs up, she turns to her daughter. Almost done with your cheese puffs, sweetie? Her daughter looks up at her and nods, a cheese puff sticking out of her mouth and cheese powder smeared on her cheeks. Kathy sighs. Oh my, as her daughter giggles, cheesy and content under the Christmas tree. Later, in her daughter's bedroom, Kathy watches her child sleep peacefully, snoring softly and clutching a Bigfoot doll tightly. After a moment of quiet observation, Kathy looks over her shoulder and walks out of the room. In the kitchen, Kathy tries to call Teddy again, but he doesn't answer. Hurry up, Teddy. Are you kidding? She mutters in frustration. She puts the phone down and leans on the counter, tapping her fingers impatiently. The kitchen clock shows 11:01, and Kathy sighs heavily. A few moments later, Kathy stands before a closed door in the hallway. She takes a deep breath, her eyes closed in concentration. As she opens the door, light pours into what appears to be a secret altar room. Kathy approaches a sparkly blue and white stone shaped like a tooth. Standing over it with her hands raised and eyes closed, she begins to hum. The room contains other altars as well. A gorgeous Christmas wreath, a big, colorful egg, a bag of sand, a jack-o'-lantern, and a heart-shaped box of chocolates. All are displayed on fancy altars, similar to the sparkly bluestone tooth. As Kathy hums, a bright light begins to emit from the blue stone. The entire room is soon overwhelmed with sparkly blue light, obscuring everything from view. When the light fades, we see the Tooth Fairy step out into the hallway. She's beautiful, wearing a sparkling dress and much taller than Kathy, but with Kathy's face. We watch her walk slowly and gracefully through the hall and into the living room. Just as the Tooth Fairy enters the living room, Teddy bursts through the front door. He shuts it behind him and is startled when he turns to see the Tooth Fairy standing there. Oh, hey, Teddy says, caught off guard. You're late, mortal. The Tooth Fairy responds, her voice ethereal yet stern. I know, I'm sorry. There was traffic. A lot, Teddy explains sheepishly. It's all right. Your wife was worried, the Tooth Fairy says, her tone softening slightly. I know, Teddy acknowledges. There's no way she would have been able to accommodate both spirits tonight alone, you know. The Tooth Fairy adds. I know, Teddy repeats, then laughs. What are the odds, right? Of a tooth falling out on another holiday. The Tooth Fairy responds with mystical wisdom. The odds of everything are anything, because all things exist. Teddy, slightly bewildered, nods. Right. Well, I'm going to go and transform. As Teddy enters the secret altar room, we watch him stand over the fancy wreath. Like Kathy before him, he hums with his hands over it. Decorated vines from the wreath begin to wind and twist around Teddy's face and body, cutting into his clothes and skin. The transformation looks painful, and we see him grit his teeth and wince. His body morphs, taking on the appearance of a fat old man with a big belly and rosy red nose. He screams in agony as a long white beard rapidly grows on his face. Finally, the transformation complete, he trembles and winces one last time. Back in the living room, the Tooth Fairy sits in an armchair, reading Manly P. Hall's Initiates of the Flame. Santa steps into the room triumphantly, his hands on his hips and his big belly puffed out, a jolly smile on his face. Ho, ho, ho! Let's do this, Santa exclaims. The Tooth Fairy smiles at him as she sets her book down and stands up. Let's, she agrees. As Mr. Sandman begins to play, we see the Tooth Fairy gently taking the tooth from under the sleeping daughter's pillow. She smiles tenderly at the child before quietly exiting the room. Meanwhile, in the living room, Santa jollily puts presents under the tree and fills the stockings. The Tooth Fairy returns and they exchange warm smiles and nods of accomplishment. The scene dissolves to Christmas morning. Teddy and Kathy, back to their normal selves, sit on the couch sipping coffee. They're wearing Christmas sweaters and smiling contentedly. Suddenly, their daughter comes rushing down the stairs. She came, she came, she came. The Tooth Fairy came last night and took my tooth and left me money. She came, she came. The little girl's excited chatter trails off as her eyes widen at the sight of the packed Christmas tree and stuffed stockings. And he came too, she exclaims in wonder. Her parents laugh and exchange knowing looks as their daughter eagerly begins ripping open presents. Kathy gazes at Teddy with loving eyes, and he returns the look. We pulled it off, Kathy says softly. Yup. Well, they pulled it off, Teddy responds with a chuckle. As we slowly pan out from this heartwarming Christmas scene, we hear the soothing woman's voice once more. The spirit of Christmas, the spirit of Old Saint Nick. Every spirit. They exist eternally and internally. They give us strength and wisdom. These mantles we don of them, these kindnesses we do in the likeness of their spirits when we allow them to take possession of our earthly forms in order to conduct great works in their everlasting names. The camera continues to pan out, showing the snow falling gently outside the window. Suddenly, we hear Bigfoot roaring as he runs by, bringing this magical tale to a close. The end.